Shout out to the team for getting rid of the frogs. We appreciate you. Anyway, there are some things that I have to do in order to really feel like the information is something that I can speak as a second language, right? I don't like coming on here and talking about things that I know a little bit about, but need to do more research on, can't really make connections, because for me, it's the connections, connecting the dots that makes the news live in a different way. And so that has been the case with a few key stories, one of them being a conversation about Palantir, a company that we are going to have to unpack in ways. But that is a story that has felt so sprawling and so big, and I really want to do it justice. So we have not yet had a conversation about Palantir, and we're not going to have that conversation today, because some of y'all was like, "Ooh, girl, that's going to be a heavy one on a Friday. Can we do that on a Friday?" That will probably be a Tuesday discussion, not necessarily next week Tuesday, but a Tuesday discussion. It will not be a Friday discussion. We can't go into the weekend with all that heaviness on our hearts and our spirits. But there's another story that also sort of sits in that vein, not because I think the story is like important to our lives because it's going to impact our day-to-day affairs, or because it's going to create a situation that we personally have to respond to. This is a slightly different sort of serious story, and it's a story that has sort of sucked up all the air out of the MAGA room. And again, because I'm not a part of MAGA, I see this and I'm like, this is stupid. Like, why are y'all like, I don't understand what's happening. But, just because it's not important to me doesn't mean it's not important to them. And the only reason I care about this being important to them is because of the way in which they have an outsized capacity to influence elected officials right now. And so all of that is coming to bear in some really weird ways. Today, we're going to have a conversation about Donald Trump and this Jeffrey Epstein situation. And I don't really think this is like news, but it is making news, and it is shifting what's happening in the right wing in ways that we should know about, because whether we think it's stupid or not, because of course we all knew that Donald Trump was included on the Epstein files. We knew he was on those lists. That's old news. For those of us who take in news outside of Fox, it's old news that Donald Trump was on the flight logs going back and forth to Epstein Island. For those of us who are not in sort of the right wing echo chamber, those who are in that echo chamber, they are really going through some things right now. And again, I didn't think this was a real issue until, the Wall Street Journal has entered the chat. And so we're going to unpack that today, because again, it is going to have implications for the rest of the political reality, because you got people right now talking about we'll get into it. We're going to get into it. We're going to unpack it. And I, again, did not think that this was going to be an issue that should continue in any real meaningful way. But every day, we're getting more and more information about what's happening, more and more information about why this is such a big deal for them. And because it's a big deal for them, and they tend to be a very emotional, non-logical lot, it's something that we have to pay attention to, because it is going to have impact on the rest of the governing apparatus of this country in ways that I'm puzzled by. But I'm puzzled by a lot of things that these people do. So there's that. We're going to talk about that today, and really what it means to sort of be in a moment. And we'll have this later conversation with Ebony Janice, who'll be joining us later on in the show. What it means in this moment when the efforts to uphold a purely patriotic reality, not patriotic, patriarchal. Not patriotic in terms of, proud to be an American, like you love your country, but more of a male leadership approach to governing in this society. There's this tension happening right now between an effort to pretend like the party of family values is the party of family values, at the same time that they are dismantling all of the institutions that uphold the family. There is a very weird tension between pretending like you care about the family unit and then doing things in ways that make destruction of the family unit more effective. It's a strange time to be in, at the same time that women are attempting to make sure that we don't get subsumed and lost in all of this. It's weird, and Ebony Janice is going to help us unpack it, because she knows how to unpack those sorts of things way better than I do. I just know how to ask the questions. She knows how to help us walk through and figure out what the answers look like. And so I know that felt a little esoteric in my description of what she and I are going to be discussing, but once you hear what's happening with this whole Epstein situation, I think you will better understand why we need to have a conversation about how we cleanse ourselves from all of this. How do we purge ourselves from all of these structures that are designed to allow bad people to do bad things to the people that they pretend to want to protect. I know it feels weird, but it's a Friday. Go with it. You trust me. You just go with it. We'll unpack it and we'll make it all make sense. But we got a lot to get to today, and I have you guys. You know how when you go to a concert, and this is all oddly related in weird ways, but you know how if you go to a concert or a show, they sometimes have the kissing camera. You've seen this, like, people that the camera will, and even if it's not a kissing camera, you'll just randomly find yourself on a Jumbotron where the entire stadium can see you. And then everyone gets to cheer you on, and maybe it's a kissing camera, or maybe you're just waving to the stadium and you're like, hi, we're on camera. Oh my God, everybody can see us. And it's not just the people in the stadium who can see you, like the people who are filming the events, be it a concert or an athletic game of some sort, are able to see the Jumbotron. And so they are then also sharing with the nation who's watching from home what is on the Jumbotron. Child, if you have ever been familiar with that phrase, what's done in the dark will always come out to the light, then you were not surprised over this past week when the Twitter worlds and the social media worlds, the Blue Skies, the Spout, all the social media apps were sort of caught up in this situation that took place at this concert, Coldplay. I'm not a Coldplay listener or super fan. Nothing wrong with them. It's just not my genre. But there was this concert by this group named Coldplay, and in the concert they had this Jumbotron feature. And one of the couples that they featured was loved up, huggy, lovey. He had his arms around her. She's leaning on him. Her head is back on his shoulder. And they're sort of sharing an intimate moment of joy at the Coldplay concert. And we know that all of this was happening because the Jumbotron picked them up. They look like a lovely couple. It was wonderful. And until they realized that they were watching themselves on the Jumbotron, and in that split second, you know how you done did something you wasn't supposed to do. You done did something wrong that you wasn't supposed to do. And you got caught doing the thing you wasn't supposed to do. And there's a moment where you are blissfully doing the thing you ain't supposed to be doing. And then that crack in your consciousness happens when you realize you have been found out. And the magnitude of doing what you wasn't supposed to be doing is now not just apparent to you, but to everybody else who found you out. They had that moment in real time. Because when they realized that they were on the Jumbotron and she saw herself all loved up on him with her head leaned back on his shoulder and his arms wrapped around her, caressing her ever so gently and lovingly and looking like a lovely couple in love, she puts her hands to her face and ducks down, turns around. He does the same thing. He ducks down, but like in a slow meme type version, and they will forever be memed because of this. And then we come to find out that these people who looked like they was loved up, hugged up, and cuddled up, and they was loved up, hugged up, and cuddled up, and it looked like a happy couple. Come to find out, child, she's the head of HR at the company where he is the CEO, and they was having an affair.
That's suspicious.
Sure is, but it definitely helps to set the tone for what we gonna talk about today, because that, my friends, is basically what has been happening across the nation with this entire situation. So we got a lot to get to today. It is Friday. We're not doing a Foolishness Friday. It's still going to be news, but it is salacious. It is newsy. And so we're going to make sure that y'all got your kids out the car. This is not a conversation I think children should be paying attention to, because it's going to get a little messy. And we're going to do it because it's news. It's not even gossip. It's news. And because it's news and it now impacts international affairs and treaties and agreements, we're going to have to talk about it. So that's going to be our Friday today. Hi, it's Friday. And thank God it is Friday. So we got a lot to unpack, and we'll unpack all of it. And I think I'm going to enjoy this. I don't know. We don't usually get to do these topics, but I think I'm going to have some fun today. So